Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Myra Ansari here for Wave Now. I hope that you are having a good Thursday so far. So we are talking about daylight saving time because we are entering it this weekend. So what does that mean? Of course, we spring forward. We are going to move an hour forward, our clocks. So that can have an impact on your body and your sleep. So today we are teaming up with Kathryn Strait, a sleep medicine specialist at Norton Pulmonary, and she's going to give us some advice on kind of how to adjust. We do this every year, but every year the day after kind of hits us hard because we've lost that hour of sleep. Kathryn, thanks so much for joining us today. What is your advice to folks on how to adjust to the time change?
Yeah, so I think for most of us, the time change is as simple as sort of going to Chicago, coming back, right? So we'll adapt in a day or two, and no big deal. But for some of us who already have that circadian misalignment, say you work shift work, like many news reporters,
Mhm.
or you just overall have trouble adapting, I would try tonight because daylight savings time is in 2 days. Okay. Go to sleep tonight, maybe 15, 30 minutes earlier than you normally would. Same thing tomorrow. Maybe you sleep in 30 minutes longer tomorrow. And that'll help sort of prepare your body for the shock that's about to happen. And just look on the bright side. You get an hour more of sunlight in your evening.
I don't know about folks who are joining us, but I truly enjoy that extra hour of daylight after getting off of work. So it doesn't feel like, it's pitch dark when you're getting off of work, say at 5:30 or 6:30 p.m. There's more time to get outdoors. But Kathryn, for a lot of folks who struggle with sleep, this time shift doesn't really help them, right? It makes things just even harder for them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that, it's been shown that losing the hour of sleep can increase your risk of things like heart attack and stroke risk, motor vehicle accident the next day, poor work performance. So it can certainly impact not only your sleep, but your health overall. And so I think that as soon as, the sooner that you can adapt, the better.
Okay. And for those that don't know, it's Sunday at 2 a.m., right? That we're going to spring forward, move your clocks an hour forward. So waiting until Sunday to be like, all right, in our heads, we got to go to bed earlier. Sometimes that's not the best approach. So starting now, today, Thursday, is a good way to ease into it.
Yes, I would start tonight. If you're somebody that really struggles with the time change, I would say maybe 30 minutes tonight, 30 minutes tomorrow, right? And then that way you're sort of already at the hour come Saturday night. But if you're somebody who's like, well, I mean, okay, on Saturday I can sleep in a little bit. Maybe tonight it's 15 minutes, tomorrow another 15 minutes, and then you can sleep in for about a half an hour more on Saturday. And then your body should be a little bit more prepared for the time change.
When we go through a change like this, Kathryn, how long does it take to us to adjust, right? To kind of feel like we're back in the groove of things, that we can function a little bit better?
Yeah, so for the average person who might not have a sleep disorder or insomnia at baseline, it's probably going to take a day or two. For those people who sort of already struggle with sleep, maybe it's not a priority for them, or they sort of already have a short sleep time, so they're not getting that 7 to 9 hours of sleep. It can take a week or two, and I mean, if it takes beyond that, I would probably talk to somebody because it could mean that you have an underlying sleep disorder outside of just plain old daylight savings time adjustment. But I would say for the majority of us, and a day or two, and we should be good back to normal.
So what about, okay, so I'll just take a big old nap on Monday to kind of recover. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
So I think it's probably not a great idea, right? Unless you really don't want to fall asleep on Monday night. So I say a nap during the day is fine. I would set an alarm, 20 minutes, no more than that, and try to do it before 2 p.m.
Okay. So I've already had conversations with my kiddos. They're in third and fifth grade. Hey guys, the time is changing, because I sometimes think as I'm an adult, I'll be able to push through it, but I worry about my kids and their ability to function come Monday morning and the rest of the days during the school week, because I don't want them like sleeping at their desk, right? Or not paying attention in school. What can we do for our kiddos to kind of get them into to better prepare them for the shift and the change?
Well, kudos to you for already having that conversation with your kids, because I have 3 little ones at home and I am dreading the time change myself. Um, But I think that, the better that you can get them prepared, right? So going to bed maybe a little earlier, helping them with that bedtime routine. So for kids, it's going to be all about being consistent. So maybe it's, an hour before bedtime, you wind down, turn off the screens, read books, take showers, and then just make sure that they're getting, kids need more sleep than we do. So make sure that they're going to bed at a reasonable hour. They may want to sleep in the morning, and allowing them maybe an extra 15 minutes to sleep in if you can, might be helpful in their adjustment.
Okay. We always ask this question because it's always like, oh gosh, I am really slacking. I need to do better. But how much sleep should we be getting? And I know that's probably a question you get all the time.
Yeah, so 7 to 9 hours of sleep is what's been studied. So that's the recommended amount of time. So that good old 8 hours. There are some people that can function on 4 or 5 hours a night, and they're called short sleepers, but it's a very small percentage of the population. So if you're somebody who's chronically not sleeping 7 hours, it's probably going to catch up to you eventually.
Yeah, my husband's one of those. I don't know how he does it. And I tell him, I need my sleep. I'm not a good person if I'm not sleeping. What about kiddos? How much sleep should they get?
Yeah, so it varies based on age. So obviously, and when they go through growth spurts, right? So if they're going through a growth spurt, they're going to need more sleep. I would say on average, make sure they're at least getting 9 hours of sleep, is a good rule of thumb. Teenagers like to stay up late and sleep in, but just make sure that they're also getting, 9 hours of sleep. They need a lot of sleep. They're growing, developing, and that's the time that their body has to recover, and grow and develop.
Okay. You kind of touched on this, Kathryn, but I want to jump back to this topic. You were talking about some of the medical issues that we see pop up kind of after this time change. Can you talk a little bit more about that and why? Because that may sound kind of crazy to some people. Like, what? Like heart attacks? What? From not sleeping? But talk to me a little bit more about some of the health issues that come along when we change the time.
Yeah, so it's sort of a mixed review on, how significant these events can be, but I think it mainly just comes from this sleep deprivation. So I think a lot of us aren't getting that recommended 8 hours of sleep already, and then you take away an hour of sleep, and now I'm sleep deprived. And if I don't have time in my schedule, or I have external factors like kids or pets or work stress that make it difficult for me to sleep already, I'm not going to be able to catch up on that sleep. And so if you've ever had a poor night's sleep, you realize you can be cranky the next day, right? You're more irritable. You have difficulty concentrating during the day, delayed reaction time when driving, and your body doesn't get the chance to fully rest. So then you have those stresses to your cardiovascular system, and then that comes the increase of those risks. So the more that you can prioritize your sleep, the better off that you're really going to be.
Okay. Also, I know a lot of folks who are joining us right now, they may work split shifts, right? Or they may have crazy schedules. They work an overnight, come home and nap, do little things around the house, then sleep before work. For folks who sleep in chunks, a couple hours here, a couple hours there, is that a good thing, a bad thing? We all have to work and we have to sleep too, but how do you handle that? What would you recommend?
Sure. So hopefully that's just a season in their life, and it's a short-lived season. But if it is, a case in shift work, what I generally tell the people is get as much sleep as you can in one period. So if that's 4 hours for you, that's 4 hours. And if that means that, 4 hours, I got to pick up my kids from the bus stop, then I have time to take maybe a 2 hour long nap after that, then do that. So the longer periods of time that you can sleep, the better. And, the typical sleep cycle is 90 minutes to 2 hours. So the better that you can sort of give yourself to complete your sleep cycles and get the recommended sort of deep sleep and REM sleep, the better off you're going to be.
Okay. And how long does it take to fall into a REM sleep?
So the REM sleep latency will vary from person to person. I would say that it generally is going to take probably at least an hour.
Okay. You got a shout out on social media. So I want to tell you this. Dr. Strait is my doctor and she's awesome. So Shannon is watching you right now and she wanted to give you that shout out. So we appreciate that, Shannon. Josh, I see you too. Thank you for putting some heart emojis with us. So your last advice to folks, Kathryn, is what would you give to folks?
So I think the best thing I can say is prioritize your sleep. So we live, in this society where we have access to wearable devices that tell you about your sleep. Sleep is being studied during COVID. It was, sleep became a big priority for people because we know that it helps your immune function. So I think that the more that you can prioritize making sleep a priority, I'm going to set aside these 8 hours for myself because I know I'm going to feel better the next day, the better off you're going to be. And the healthier you'll be able to, if you have goals during the day, like exercise or weight loss, you're going to be more successful with those things.
My last question to you is the screens. What if we are, right before bed, we've got our phones in our hands and we're checking that email, scrolling on social media. Sometimes that, number one, pushes back that sleep time because we end up scrolling for longer than we intended. But we know that light plays a big role, right, in being able to sleep.
Yeah, so it can. They have these blue blocking frames. You can try those, but the best thing that you can do is put the phone down. So an hour before bed, when you're sort of in your wind down routine, put the phone down. Try to keep it out of the bedroom if you can, though I know some people use it for their alarm. And really make your bedroom a sanctuary for just sleep and sex. So if you're not doing one of those things, then you're not spending time in your bed reading or on your phone, and really do those things outside of the bedroom. But turning it off an hour before bed is sanity. So it is the best thing that you can do for your sleep.
Yeah, I've been really conscious about setting boundaries, right? Even setting boundaries for myself, not just for others. So maybe we need to set boundaries with this thing so it's not always in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Strait, is there anything that I did not ask you that you feel like folks need to know about today?
So I think, we hit on everything for daylight savings time. I would just say that if you chronically have trouble sleeping, so if you snore or you have a partner that snores and you're really tired during the day, or you just don't feel rested when you wake up, make an appointment to see a sleep specialist. You might have an underlying sleep disorder like sleep apnea or leg movement disorder, and we can help you get better quality sleep. So, there is hope for you if you feel like you just don't sleep well.
Okay. And where would folks go to contact you all if they're having trouble sleeping? Is it Norton Pulmonary Specialist, or do you all, where do folks need to go?
Yeah, so Norton Pulmonary Specialists, or Norton Sleep. If you go on Norton's website, you'll see all the sleep providers under the Norton Sleep Medicine. We have 4 sleep clinics in town, so we can get you the help wherever you are in Louisville.
Perfect. Kathryn, thank you so much. You did fantastic. I hope you all have a great day. Again, don't forget to spring forward Sunday at 2 a.m. We're going to be changing our times. And then I think it's November that we go back, right? I think it's somewhere around there. So everybody needs to just adjust. This is the reality that we're in, doing it every year. Thank you, Kathryn, for your time today.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'm Myra Ansari. I will see you on Wave News at 3 o'clock today.